Hello folks, I just want to talk to you about my 2021 model KTM Super Adventure S. There's a couple of things that I've discovered after I've purchased the bike. It's yet to go for its first service, but in saying so, these are the small discoveries I've made about how the actual motorcycle works, the technology in place, and all the cool things that if you read the instruction or the owner's manual, you will most likely find out, but I'll just go ahead and try and explain that to you in a much simpler way, a bit more practically. So yeah, just stick around and I'll let you know about those cool little features on this beautiful motorcycle. Okay, let's start with the brakes. Now, you may or may not be aware, but the KTM has combined braking system. So if you tap on the front brakes, it also controls and applies some braking pressure to the rear brakes, and that's really amazing because it's not something that KTM proactively advertises. So it's called the combined braking system, whereabouts you tap the front and it activates the rear as well. Now, the way you'll notice that this function actually works is when you're out and about and you hit the front brake, you'll feel the pedal pressure on the rear brake. You'll feel that pressure already harden up, which means some of the remaining brake bias or braking capability is already being applied electronically through the ABS system. So that's a really cool feature, and unfortunately I don't know why it isn't advertised or recognized by all the reviewers of this motorcycle so far. So yeah, do try it out when you get a chance. It's called the combined ABS system. Right, now let's have a chat about the Hillhold control or the Hillhold feature. Now this feature is really useful when you're on a incline and the ABS and the 6-axis sensor on the motorcycle detects that you're on an incline and applies the rear brakes so that you don't go sliding back down. Now the way this feature works is when you come to at the top of the hill, maybe, or in top of your driveway, for example, and you apply the front brake, it actually applies the rear brake and holds the rear brake for you. Now this is done for up to 6 seconds, after which the rear brakes are let go gradually. So if you're trying, you do have to be in gear for this to work. So if you're in neutral, for example, then this feature is not going to work for you. So you'd have to be in a gear, and the moment you throttle out or accelerate, the feature is disabled automatically and it lets go of the rear brakes. Otherwise it keeps holding on for 6 to 8 seconds, after which it releases gradually. Now the interesting part about this feature is that it also works when the ignition is on, i.e. the motorcycle engine does not need to be on for this feature to work. So if you're just moving your motorcycle around on a slope or something, just hit the brake and it will activate, while in gear, it will activate the Hillhold control without the engine actually being turned on. That's a really cool feature, I think. Now the next feature that I want to talk about is the one push start. So turn on your bike as normal, push on the ignition key, and usually on a lot of motorcycles you would have to press and hold the starter button for the engine to fire up, but on the KTM that is not necessary. You just push and there she goes, she fires up. So you do not need to hold on to the button to crank the motor up. Right, so the next feature I'm going to show you is about the Bluetooth Auto Connect. Now, on some newer motorcycles, you have to open the app and wait for it to connect and so on and forth. But on the KTM, it's so much simpler. So turn on your motorcycle as normal. There she goes. And then make sure you also turn on your Bluetooth headset. So there she is, she's connecting. And make sure your phone Bluetooth is also on, and you will see very soon over here the Bluetooth connection, and there on the dash as well, that indicates the phone signals and the battery level and the headset connection. And there you go, nothing done, all configured. And once you do it, you can just set it and forget it. Just make sure that you keep your Bluetooth headset turned on, as well as the phone's Bluetooth turned on for this to work, and it works seamlessly. It also works with popular apps like Spotify or YouTube Music. So I'm just going to load Spotify, and gonna be playing a track, Gorgon City. It's now streaming that onto my Bluetooth headset. And you can see on the dash here, it also displays the name of the track and the duration right now, the timeline, and I can control the volume using the joystick up and down, and the play and pause buttons. Additionally, if you were to press on the Sena 10S, if you were to press the call button there just once, it also invokes the feature for Google Assistant as well as Siri, and you can just talk to your headset the way you normally do with your voice commands, and that all gets processed through the motorcycle's Bluetooth connection without any trouble whatsoever. So that's another really cool feature, and it works quite seamlessly compared to other motorcycles. Now KTM has clearly advertised that the 23-liter tank on the new Super Adventure is in three parts, so to speak. So you've got the top filler section there, which holds a little bit of fuel, about 3 liters, and then there's the tank that flows down onto this side as well as onto the right side here. Now the fuel gauge sensor that actually shows you the fuel level of the motorcycle is located here on the right of the dashboard, and currently you can see it's 1 bar less because I have been riding it. But now for that fuel indicator to display the fuel level, the sensor for that is located on the left tank over here, somewhere on the inside, and that's what gives you that fuel level there. Now the reason for that is when you put the motorcycle on the side stand, it leans to the left, and hence that is the most appropriate location for the tank sensor, for the fuel level sensor. Now what has happened in PDI, and I have experienced that, is that the dealership forgets to turn on the petcocks. Now the petcocks are located here under the tank. If you can. So the fuel petcock is located over there. If you can see my finger, right about there, and that has to be extended all the way out for that petcock to let fuel flow through the pipe that goes in to the other side and connects the two tanks to balance the levels. So if you see on that end also, there is a little petcock right there. So those two taps essentially balance the fuel on both the sides and gives you the right fuel level reading here. Now in PDI they tend to forget, or it's just maybe not part of the PDI procedure, they tend to forget to open both of those petcocks, and you might get stuck in the middle of the road out of fuel scavenging because somebody forgot to turn them on. So yeah, just make sure those petcocks are turned on, and you'll be fine, and that level should read quite accurately for you. Another great feature of the motorcycle is the automatic headlights. Again, a bit lesser known, this feature. So when you turn on the ignition, like so, you will see the headlights turn on momentarily, followed by them going out, and then the daytime running lights stay on. Now, with the daytime running lights, that can be configured through the dash. Essentially, you can go through the menu, select the settings, and go through DRL, daytime running lights, and you can go on or off. When the DRLs are off, that's when the headlight stays on, and when the DRL is on, the headlights turn on automatically based on the ambient light conditions. Now, the ambient light sensors are located there. Essentially, what that does is, if it's dark outside or getting dark outside, the headlights will turn on automatically, followed by, depending on how much ambient light is available, the brightness of the screen will also change. It changes quite seamlessly. If you're riding in a forest or a dark environment, maybe if you go into a tunnel, the headlights will turn on first, and gradually the dash will dim, or the mode that you see over here, the dark mode versus the bright white mode, will turn on. Right now I'm in the garage, hence it's automatically configured to that, but I can change that to be all the time on the theme. So that's the display theme. I can go night theme permanently or leave it on automatic. Automatic basically changes between the dark theme and the light theme on its own. Another interesting feature is that it doesn't just change the headlight on and off, but also manages the brightness. So there's no separate brightness control, unlike some other motorcycle dashes where you can control the brightness separately. This brightness is managed automatically by the dash, and it's based on your theme that you select. So you only have a choice between a dark and a light theme and nothing else. Now the next feature is, if you've got the accessory heated grips, the factory heated grips installed, you basically turn on the heated grips using the menu controls. Just go down to heating, go to grips, and you can change the levels from high to medium to low. Doesn't matter what you set it as, but the motorcycle remembers the setting, and it'll indicate that setting that you have in place over there. So currently you can see the motorcycle's on. I'm going to turn it off, and you'll see that the setting for the heated grips remains unchanged. So it's going off now. I'm going to turn the motorcycle back on, and you'll see that the heated grip setting remains unchanged. So it sort of has a heated grip memory, which is really good. You don't have to go fiddle around with the heated grip settings every time you turn on the motorcycle or turn off the motorcycle, and have to reconfigure that for every ride. If you're taking a long ride, you're taking breaks, and it's cold outside, there's no point in having to change the settings every time. I believe that's the same settings will be remembered even for your heated seats if you install them. So yeah, that's a really good feature, I think, to have that zero fuss sort of approach to remembering heated settings.